Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand that everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast and the Marketing Savage Facebook group, coming to you today with another live savage motherfucking interview with my boy here, Pedro. What's going on, Pedro?
What's up, brother? Thank you for having me, man. Yeah,
absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And we actually went live a couple minutes ago and we started to get into a conversation, and I realized that we weren't live on the Facebook group, so we were just recording. So we had to bounce out of here quickly. Good fucking thing it wasn't like 20 minutes into that, because then I would have just dropped a recording, of course, inside of the Facebook group. But we caught it early enough. We are live in the Marketing Savage Facebook group. So I want Pedro to get on here and explain to you guys, because Pedro's been on fire, man, like on fire. And he's been dropping all kinds of products. And Pedro's inside of real estate. Pedro does marketing, like all kinds of cool shit. He's a perfect individual to be on this podcast because he's motivated and he's out there killing it.
Thanks for having me, brother. Again, I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity, man, and being here, sharing with you stuff and having a good conversation. I mean, it's funny what just happened, man, but, you know, I'm excited. Shit happens for a reason, right? But
that's right, man.
It's good to be here, man. And just so the people can hear this part, because we were talking about that, you know, it's going to be a badass podcast when you have two bitter guys having a nice conversation, talking shit and getting real with stuff, you know? So right, I'm excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Right, man. Fuck yeah, dude. So and you got yourself a nice beard going on over there, man. You got them dignified gray streaks going through there, man.
You mean the wisdom highlights?
It's like it's like yeah. Yeah. Did you add them?
No, man, they came out naturally. You know?
There you go. There you go, man. Hell yeah. So for any of you guys who are listening to the podcast, you guys got to head on over to the Marketing Savage Facebook group, because we go live. And this is literally, this interview is not going to be dropped for 3 weeks. So you get to an early access to all of our interviews, and you also get to watch the video. So get over there. You got to see what Pedro looks like. You got to see these fucking beards, the power of the beard.
I know, man. That's very powerful.
You know what I mean? So, so Pedro, let's talk a little bit about, first, let's talk about your beard products, man. Tell us a little bit about what you got and how you got involved in that.
Oh, man. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, man, I think this is going to be part of like my life calling, you know, because so the whole concept is called the way of the modern beast, right? And this came to me like less than 2 months ago, you know, but it was something that has been working. I think inside of me, something working in myself for a couple of years already, you know, because my whole life, man, the way I was raised, my mom always trying to avoid at all costs for his little boy to become like his dad, you know, like put me in a situation where I never felt like I was being a man, you know, I never felt like I was doing shit that I wanted to do, man, you know, because my parents always thought that it was dangerous or it was too violent and all that kind of shit. You know, the things that we like to do as men, we like to blow shit up, you know, we like to get in fight. We like to test each other, you know, and that's important to develop our masculinity. So, man, during 2020, COVID kind of like helped me to start developing myself more as a man, you know, to start focusing more of like what makes me a man and what makes me what I need to become a better man for this world, you know, for society, for my family, especially, and most importantly for myself, you know. And you know, I've been embracing the bearded life for over 5 years, and I just enjoy. I start doing Krav Maga, I start getting involved in other stuff, and I start feeling more like this is what I needed, you know. And then I started finding out that I needed also a community, that as a man, I didn't have that community to be around other men, to validate each other as a man. And that's pretty much how, you know, 2 months ago, the whole concept came to my mind, man. Like in one day, I put all the shit together. It took me like 3 hours to put the whole concept together of the way of the modern beast. So the whole idea, you know, is because when it comes to the beard products, to be honest, man, the beard products, the skincare I want to launch later, and all the shaving line that I want to include too, because I know that not every single man likes to grow a beard, and that's completely fine. You know, that's it's only the chosen ones that can grow a beard like you and I, right? But you know, all those things, man. I think it's just extra, you know. The whole thing is to build a movement, you know, where we can become as men, as modern men, and really develop our masculinity, you know, especially in this fucked up world we live in right now, that everybody's trying to tell us that, oh, you're toxic, like your beer is toxic, because I have heard that shit too, you know. And at some point, we as men have decided just to stay quiet and don't do anything about it. So the way of the modern beast, besides the beer products, the oils, and all that kind of stuff, is a movement, man. To, like you see in my shirts, to make masculinity great again. That's the whole point, you know, because I know men needs it. And when I created the Facebook group, because I started the Facebook group right after I announced, I think it was a month ago that I started the group. There's almost 300 people in there already, man, in less than a month. So that shows you that there's a fucking need for us men to come together and help each other, hold each other accountable, and get real. And if we have to get slapped in the face to wake the fuck up, really start doing that stuff, you know. So that's how all this concept was born, man. So I'm happy, you know, because I've already got some oils. I mean, the store is up and running. I haven't made the official launch, but I have some swag going on to start pushing the movement forward. The beer oil, you need to try them, man. You're gonna freaking love them, and they're pretty good, man. It's not because it's my product, but they're fucking amazing. You know. But the whole concept, you know, is like, and when it comes to those products, man, when I see other beer products and all that kind of stuff, it's always around Spartans and Vikings and all that kind of shit. Well, don't get me wrong, that shit's funny. I love it. I like to read about all that kind of stuff, but we live in a modern world, right? We live in a modern society. Things have changed. We don't fucking go around with a sword killing people, right? Like, it's a completely different times. So that's the whole idea, you know, like adapt all the masculinity stuff, you know, into our modern world. That's why it's called the way of the modern beast.
Nice. You know, I've talked about this type of stuff a lot because I truly believe that sometime in the 50s, we had a polarity shift between, you know, masculine and feminine. If you look at people pre-50s, the men were very masculine and the women were very feminine. Then at some point, you know, men started doing things like, you know, growing their hair long and piercing their ears, and women started taking off and burning their bras, right? So what you actually seen was kind of like a switch between, you know, feminine and masculine energy. And the interesting thing about that is that you see that even in gay couples. I mean, you'll always see one that has masculine energy and feminine energy, and that's truly the two energies that you actually is the arc of attraction. And Tony Robbins does this whole thing about how individuals who get divorced, it's because they lose that polarity of attraction. And what usually happens is that when we get married, man, you know, we don't give a fuck if our old ladies bitch at us, right? Like, when we first get together, right? We don't give a fuck if our old ladies bitch at us. We just kind of look at it like, all right, whatever, you know, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my thing, and you're cool with it, whatever, not, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're following along with me, right? You know, especially if you're a masculine dude. And you know, and the woman's going to bitch about little things here and there. But what happens at some point, something happens to the man where somehow they let their feelings get hurt. And what they do is they slide from the spectrum of masculinity over to the feminine side of the spectrum. And they start like itching and snipping back at the woman. And then next thing you know, like, everybody's feelings are hurt and they're snipping back and forth and this and that, right? And they lose that polarity or that arc of attraction. And a lot of times if you see like a divorced man, he's sitting in the bar and he's going, yeah, she used to do this to me or that to me. And really just acting like a bitch, you know what I mean? Like, and something that I learned is that you got to understand feminine energy. Like, when feminine energy comes at you, you got to look at it like wind blowing through a fucking tree.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like,
it's just nature. It's like, you don't let your feelings get hurt because a girl's going to be a girl, man. You know what I mean? And definitely don't lose your fucking manhood. And that's the type of shit that they don't teach in school. The thing is, you need feminine energy and masculine energy. And sometimes the dude, like, you know, sometimes the dude's the female has much more feminine energy. And you know, you meet they're his fucking wife, and she's a fucking looks like a fucking linebacker.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. No, absolutely, man. And everything
and that shit happens too, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We gotta be, I feel like, Pedro, is that we became like hybrid human beings, because believe it or not, man, like anything like putting on cologne or you know, any little things, little touches that we do, that's actually coming from the feminine energy spectrum. But we're actually using that because it's like, man, there's nothing that gets you fucking laid better than or more consistently than fucking using feminine energy with females.
Right.
Because they want to see you roll up and have that confidence. They want to, you know, when you're fucking suave and when you're fucking getting them panties to be dropping, man. You know what I mean? When you step in, you're using that shit on them. So I believe we're almost like a hybrid fucking human now, where you got to understand, like, where you settle in deep into your masculine, but you got to be able to tap into that fucking seduction. There's that seduction energy. That's what feminine energy is. In fact, they say Cleopatra is the very first woman that radiated seduction energy at such a high level that she drove fucking men crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. But you know where
a fucking empire, bro. And they say that, like, if you look at her bone structure from her, she wasn't really that pretty of a chick, but she would present herself as a god.
Right.
And she had this feminine energy about her. And it drove men crazy. But then to top it off, she's one of these bitches that they call, sorry, bitches. I say it over my wife on the podcast too. But one of these girls that this is a manly show. This is a man's show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
but you know, that literally they said that she was like what you call a coquette. And a coquette is one that's hot and cold, right? So this chick could be like so like hot and warm, and then all of a sudden she just turns off and goes cold on you. Them are the ones that drive men fuck. We all had one in our life.
Absolutely.
You all had that girl that drove you fucking crazy. Well, I was happy to know that that's the reason why. Once I did a little bit of research, actually, you know, a lot of this is coming from Robert Greene has a book called The Art of Seduction. And it's like a fucking 20-hour book, man, like a 20-hour audio book. But it's incredible to see how, like, some of these like dudes who were like slaying massive amounts of fucking pussy, like these like I think they call them like Louisians or some shit. Like there was like one dude who literally took 8 hours to get prepped and ready. He would shower in all these oils and he would press his shirt to the perfect press. But when he came out, I mean, you know, he just had the pussy lined up. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah.
So,
but you know, I think if that's the whole idea, you know, because when I first started putting all this concept together, you know, I was telling some people that 50 years ago, man, if you were a man walking into the store getting some moisturizer or some shit like that, people would start calling you a freaking pussy or something, right? Like, oh, stop being such a girl. But you know, I believe at some point, even throughout history, you can see it. You know, like we as human, we have to take care of ourselves. But this is self-care, is your self-mastery, right? And that, I think, includes that like you're gonna present yourself like in the best way you can and all that kind of stuff. So now that times have changed, you know, that's the reason why with this movement I'm including the beard oils and the skincare and all that kind of stuff, because I think we as men, we need to take care of ourselves, you know. Like the reason why people fucking lost my beard is because I keep this shit trim and I take care of this like my baby, you know. And that's the only reason.
And the most important thing for the married men out there is what you really want to sell is that headboard is going to be smashing the wall, boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but what you were saying, like in the 50s, and
get that beard looking good.
Yeah,
be smelling good. You walk in there that night, that headboard is going to be crushing the wall, man.
Absolutely, yeah. That you're completely right, and you know that is something that I have experienced. You know, because when I started growing a beard. I was not taking care of this shit, but since I started taking care of my beard, started taking care of my appearance a little bit more, a lot of things start changing. You know, people start looking at me in a different way. But what you were saying, like what started in the 50s and all that kind of stuff, you know, everybody watching this or listening to this later, if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, we all understand that there's this concept or this force on earth that is trying to keep us average, right? Like Ryan Stewman teaches, right? Or it's the fucking devil. That's it. There's good and evil, right?
Right.
But if you put it into perspective, man, I think when you read stuff, when you see history and all that stuff, or even the creation of us humans, right? Like God, I don't care who you believe, but we were created men and women, you know, and we had a purpose and we have a role in this world, right? And what this fucking war has been trying to do is to disrupt that order, right? Like that's why man wants to be like act like fucking women, and now women wants to act like fucking men, you know. And that order that and we have disrupt that order in our society. And what's happening right now in 2021 is the results what has been happening for 50, 60 years, right? When someone asks like, where the fuck are all the men? You've been asking us to be fucking women. That's where they are, you know. So, and that's the thing that needs to change, you know, because we're not superior to women. Like women are not superior to us. We all have different roles and we have different things. So when you have a society where a fucking man is raised to think that he doesn't even know what the fuck he is, and the same thing for the women, this is the reason why we're going through all this shit that we're experiencing right now in society. That's why everything is going to hell right now, because men don't know that. They don't know how to be men, and women, they don't know how to be women, you know? So we need to get back to the foundation of what makes us humans and what makes us men and women in order for us to recover that order. And that means like you need to start manning the fuck up if you want to really get serious about it, you know? And also women, you know? I think is both sides that needs to work in this. So, and I tell you that because like I was saying at the beginning, when I was growing up, man, like I wanted to do a lot of stuff. And I grew up in a society back in Guatemala where like, whatever sign of violence or whatever aggressiveness, whatever you want to fucking call it, you will show to somebody, like you will be tagged immediately like someone who's a bad person, a bad man, you know, like, but you know, I think we as men would need that, you know, like I cannot find myself in a better place growing myself when I go to Krav Maga and I get my fucking punch in the fucking face, you know, and it bothered me, you know, when I have somebody, oh man, I'm sorry, like man, that's why we're here. Like next time, get hit fucking harder, you know, because that's what helps us grow, man.
Jordan Peterson, which I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, but one of the things that really stuck out when I've watched a couple of his videos is that he talked about what's actually, you know, the type of man, a good man is not a good man, right? So like a man who's just a good man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who chooses to be good.
Exactly.
Right? So a very dangerous man who consciously chooses to do the right thing.
Yep.
Right. And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's an incredibly beautiful thing. And what I was going to tell you here is that you were talking about like, you know, like we all got our purpose and we all got, you know, where we come, you know, the things that our purpose. And literally, like I do a Savage Sunday sermon every week. And, you know, the previous week it actually talked about how God actually writes your purpose on your heart. Yep. And you're there to discover that purpose that's already written on your heart. And then last week I did one about responsibility. I want you to listen to this quote. This is Matthew 25:29. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. You know, really and then to top it off, Jesus said, that's a quote from Jesus, by the way. He also said that the kingdom of heaven is not going to be fit for people who grab the plow and look back. It's not going, you know, that means he knew that looking back fucks with your neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He said, when you grab the motherfucking plow and you discover what's written on your heart, your purpose, and then that's what you're given. So you should do something with it and you will be given more. And then when you grab that motherfucking plow, you're not supposed to look back, man. You're supposed to fucking roll that motherfucker out.
Yep, totally. And I think you saying that applies not only for work, but everything in your life, you know, like
everything,
like what like you were saying, we all have a purpose in us, right? And we have the obligation to discover that purpose, right? And that's a purpose that we have as men and women, the purpose that we have in life to serve others, whatever is our business calling, whatever. There's so many things that we have to accomplish in this life, right? And the fact that there's a lot of people right now not doing it, man, is the reason why there's so many people walking miserable out there. And you just say why? You just literally read from the Bible why, you know? And it's incredible to me that there's a lot of people that they can complaining, man, about a lot of stuff right now, you know? It's like I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and it's like this person was complaining about certain things, and I was like, you know what? Like, you need to shut the fuck up, and you have no right to complain. You know why? Because have you done that to change that in your life? No, you haven't. So shut the fuck up. Unless you've really been putting the work to change things in your life, then you have the right to complain. But if you haven't done anything to change the things that you don't like in your life, in yourself, or whatever it is you're not happy with, if you haven't done anything but complain, that's the reason why you're being miserable, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, something, I had Tom Ziegler on the podcast a couple months ago, and one of the things that what struck me the most, he was talking about his friend Rabbi Lapin, who wrote the Business Secrets of the Bible. And Rabbi Lapin put it like this, okay, that the opposite of depression is not happiness. It's not. The opposite of depression is purpose.
Wow.
Period. So happiness is a fleeting emotion, as being sad. That shit just comes and goes. Would you really want to be fucking happy all the time?
Right.
I would rather just be content most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If
anything, I think that I stop celebrating wins because I have this internal belief, kind of like you were talking about, like the force of average, that our emotions have an algorithm. And that when we go to like emotionally high places, we come down and we crash just as low as we went, right? And that's why you see people that are bipolar like go, whoa, fucking crazy and off the hook and on an emotional high, and then they go into a deep depression. Like, I don't want that fucking roller coaster, man. I'm cool with just the straight line, the nice steady up and down line, man. Steady up and down line. So there's times when I know that I should be celebrating something, but I'm just like, you know what, man, that was great for a second. Now let's fucking get back to it, because I want to step back in my purpose. I don't need to be happy. I need to fucking have a purpose. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah, driven by that purpose. I'm the same, man. That's something that has been changing a lot in my life too. Like when I have a win, or like I have an offer accepted in real estate, or whatever, or make a sale, whatever it is, man. Like I kind of like celebrate for like 2 seconds. It's like, fuck it, back to work, because there's more I can do, man. I mean, that's something that has switched in my mind recently, and it is powerful, because it keeps you in check, it keeps you, because if you're happy all the time too, like you were saying, like, oh yeah, I just got that win, let's take the rest of the day off. You start getting into your comfort zone, man.
Yeah.
And then you stop.
Michael Jordan was known for very small celebrations. In fact, he did it all for that moment, that win, right?
Yeah.
He did it all for that moment. And then the day after that, it was done and over with. He was on to the next he's thinking about winning the next one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he knew that the purpose is what you need to be in. That's what forges your character. That's what gives you something to move towards. That's what keeps you from fucking hating on people and being a fucking loser, is that because people with a purpose and people with a drive don't have time to give a fuck about, you know what I mean? Like being jealous of other people, because when you see the reflection and you begin to reflect back on who you are, you've got a fucking purpose. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like I said, even I don't give a fuck if it's the lady who is the best fucking housewife, the best mom. Like if that lady's got that them are my type of people. If she's the best of the best, puts everything into it, what she's doing, and she's that's my people. It has nothing to do with money.
Yeah,
it's the people that go out there and have a deep purpose, and they become the best of the best of what they are, man. You know what I mean? You have cleaners in the military who are fucking, when I say cleaners, I don't know if any of you've read the book Relentless.
No, I haven't read that one.
That's an incredible book. It's Michael Jordan's strength training coach.
I know the book. I need to read that book for sure.
Yeah. And he talks about that. Well, a cleaner is just that, man. Is like the individual that is just top fucking level on everything that they do. They try to be the best of the best. They do it for these little wins, and and they step in and they clean up the shit when nobody else can fucking do it.
Man, now that you say that, it reminds me, a good friend of mine back in Guatemala, his dad, he's a pastor, and he always used to say to us, like, I don't care what you want to be in life. If you want to be the janitor, that's completely fine, but make sure you're going to be the best janitor out there. I never really understood that, man, until like recently. And maybe that's something that I really finally completely understood back in last year in 2020. And it has developed this kind of obsession with like really being relentless with everything, and I've been really hard on myself recently when I feel or something, like when I don't wake up to go to the fucking gym because I haven't taken a day off in like fucking a month, and I feel tired. It's like making all these excuses, because we all make excuses at some point, like I'm not gonna lie, but it just keeps me moving every single day, man. Like even the little thing around my desk, you have to be in the right place. Everything have to be perfectly, because if you don't take care of those little details, if you don't are relentless in everything you do right now, it's like, how in the hell you expect to have more? And I think that's apply where like how how you steward your purpose, how do you steward your gift, your talents, and all that kind of stuff too, you know, because people wants to have the Lambo, right? But they cannot even take care of the fucking Toyota Corolla they're driving right now. They treat it like shit, right? They want to live in a fucking mansion, but you keep like trash, you know, your freaking 800 square feet apartment, you know? So until you don't learn how to fucking steward all that stuff, all the little things, all the things that you have right now in life, life's not going to give you more. You know, it's like if you don't know how to manage $1,000, how in the fuck you gonna learn how to manage 10,000, 100,000, $1 million? You're just gonna fail. You know what I mean? So I have become really relentless on all that kind of stuff, man. Like really obsessed with those little details, and it's really a game changer because then you start paying attention to what really matters to get you closer to your goals. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What's the same thing that with this quote that I just read from, Matthew 25, those who use what they are given, even more will be given, man, you know, and they will have abundance. Right. So you're talking about becoming a good steward of just the things that you had been given. I kind of look at like God as this parent that looks at us, right? So if I gave my kid, bought my kid a new car, and then he just went out and beat it up, trashed it, treated it like shit, didn't just I wouldn't want to give him another car, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that God looks at all of us, like a parent, and is like wanting to see us not only become a good steward in our business, with our finances, with our love life, with, everything that we've been given, our parenting, to become a very good steward of that, to be a forever, like a student of just becoming better at the things that really matter in life,
Yeah.
And one of the things that you just talked about, and man, I think as an entrepreneur, one of the very first questions I asked my first business coach that I'd ever hired was, dude, like I asked him, I said, from the outside looking in, it looks like I'm fucking superhuman. I own multiple businesses and people are asking me, do I sleep at night and stuff like that? But I truly do not feel accomplished. I asked him, I was like, I don't feel accomplished on a daily basis. I really don't. Yeah. And he just looked at me and said, John, we're going to be harder on ourselves than anybody. He's like, same with me. At the time he was worth over 100 million and probably worth more than that now, of course. And he says, John, he goes, we're always going to be the hardest on ourselves. Yeah. And then what he did that really changed my life, he said, what I want you to do is focus on one MIT per day. You find one most important task and here's the deal. He said, this has to be something that when you do it, you will feel good about accomplishing that for the rest of the day.
Wow.
And he says, you need to do one every single day. That was my very first assignment from him. And what I've learned later as well is that something that Ed Milet says is that we got to also learn to be blissfully dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Meaning that we know that we're not going to be ever satisfied, or that thirst isn't going to be quenched, but we also need to step into gratitude, because gratitude is going to push away fear. Fear and gratitude cannot live in the same space. It's impossible. So the more that we practice gratitude, the more that we step away from any fear, which puts us into our entrepreneur zone, because it's all about, fucking not mitigating risk, but fucking taking risks.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you said about this blissful dissatisfaction, man, so there's something that I always talk about is when I see other people not being grateful for what they have, it really fucking bothers me, because, and the reason why I say that is because, like other people, most of in the entrepreneurial world, right? There's a lot of people that their stories are, they come from a poor background and all that kind of stuff, like life of crime, whatever the fuck it is, right? But you barely hear stories about people that comes from a good family that had money and all that shit, and then they started their entrepreneur career because everything was handed to them, so they really just have everything easy, Well, that was me, when I was in my 20s. Everything was handed to me because my dad, he built a successful business and he gave us everything. Since I was a little one, I was spoiled as fuck, so I got everything I want. Even if I want money to go to the fucking stripper for my dad, he will give me my money for my weekend so I can get fucking hookers, drugs, whatever the fuck you want to call it, That's how stupid I was,
Yeah.
So, but man, I had to quit to all of that, I had to say, you know what, I need to put a stop to this, because this shit is not fulfilling, it is not fulfilling, and I quit to everything. That's why I packed my shit 7 years ago, buy one flight ticket and never looked back. And it's been a little bit over 7 years. And that's what I started my career as an entrepreneur, and I went from having everything to fucking being broke one time in Colorado and about to lose my apartments. Thank God he sent someone to help me. And But I experienced all that shit that I never in my life experienced, man. Like when I moved here, I was 25 years old. When I was 25, man, I never really got in. I never used public transportation until I moved. Well, I moved to Costa Rica before I moved to the States, and I was moving in using the bus, like public transportation, and that was the first time because that was how fucking good my life was, man. I didn't have the need for that shit, but taking myself from where I was up here all the way down to start all over from zero. Like, I don't want nothing from my parents. I don't want nothing from anybody. I need to work my ass off for this, man. It really changed my perspective. I think that helped me understand that, you know what? You can have a bunch of shit, man, but like, if you're not grateful for what you have right now, like, you're gonna fucking lose in life. If you're not grateful, no matter where you are in life, it's like, if you don't have the car that you want, if you don't have the clothes that you want, if you don't have the fucking watch that you have, if you don't have whatever the fuck it is that you want, man, if you're not happy because you don't have what you want, I mean, how in the fuck are you gonna be happy in life and fulfilled if you don't appreciate what you have right now? Whether, like I was saying, whether if you're driving a fucking Corolla right now, if you were dreaming to drive a fucking Lambo, like, if you're not grateful for that freaking Corolla, man, if you don't appreciate and take care of like your baby, you're never gonna win in life. So because I was there, man, like, I have a bunch of shit, and none of that matters, man. It matters that you having peace in your heart, knowing that you're working, knowing that you're growing, that you're becoming better every single day, no matter how much you fail, no matter how many mistakes you make, because we all gonna make all those mistakes. But as long as you're waking up every single day knowing that you're working on yourself to be better, like, everything else really doesn't fucking matter, man.
Yeah. What I picked up, what's really awesome that you talked about there, I actually talk about this, is that I truly believe that regardless of how, like, what life, like, an individual grew up in, that we all carry a similar cross, a similar burden on our back, right? Now, your burden may have been this deep down drive and desire that was emotionally driving you crazy, that you weren't independent of your parents and you couldn't step into becoming your own fucking man who handled your own business, right? Like, it probably drove you crazy that you're that of a prodigy of your father and that you want to be that man, right? You want to be the person that goes out and fucking claims a part of the world on your own. You didn't want to ride on somebody's fucking coattail. And that bothered you at a level that you said, fuck it, I'm taking a one-way ticket the fuck up out of here, getting on public transportation. Like, you don't realize this, but you were carrying a cross that was a burden just as much as some poor kid that lives on the streets. And I honestly believe, like, God has some sort of algorithm that no matter the way all of us have a fucking burden in our life. All of us have a fucking cross to carry. Now, maybe it might not look as bad from the outside in, but what if it's emotionally worse for this person than it is for that person? Because at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the emotional torment that we've got to go through, not the actual thing or the story. So I think one day we're all going to die and God's going to be like, I fucking, like, all you guys had the same shit. Like, all of you all, right? Even this person that went through a fucked up story, but maybe what it created and what it built into their life and the strength that it built in their life was more than the person, you know what I mean? Like, there's this balance there that I believe we're all going to figure out, that we all carried a fucking heavy burden.
That's true, man. And it's impressive what you just said, because you just nailed it. I just told you a little part of my story, and you literally answered exactly what was in my heart back in those years. Like, that was exactly how I felt. Like, I want to fucking be independent, man. I really want to do my own shit. Like I know there's something out there for me. I'm a fucking man, and I'm not being a man right now. I'm being a fucking loser, So. Yeah. You freaking nailed it, man.
Even though you had the good life, you felt like a loser inside because you weren't creating for yourself. You know what actually really was coming out of you? What I believe. So I believe in this thing called, like, creative source, right? I believe that like God, like is inside of us, because we're the only creatures that create. We're created from the same thing that created us, right? We're the only thing that can create. We're the only thing that can take look, the car you're fucking driving was in a fucking mountain, bro. You know what I mean? As human beings, we took that bitch out of a mountain, and now people are driving fucking Bentleys. That bitch was in a mountain. Okay.
Wow, yeah.
So we're created from the same substance that created everything. If God is an ocean, we're a drop inside of that ocean. Well, inside of our heart, I believe that it's our highest level of what we are to be is always trying to like express itself. And we've got an opportunity to either suppress it or to live through it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's written on our heart. That's what we're given. That's what we're a steward of. So either we can suppress it and live a fucking miserable life, whether you have shit or not, because you're still suppressing that creative force that's trying to come out of you. And if God can't like live through you and express himself through you, then you're actually stunting the growth of God himself, because everything out there is meant to be growing and living and expanding. And because God is ever expanding, and because he lives inside of us, he is trying to expand through us. And when we push that down, we're actually hindering the fucking growth of God.
Yeah.
And guess what? There ain't no fucking way you're going to live a good life if you do things that way.
Absolutely, man. You know, and you're completely right, because holy shit, man, I totally agree with you, because when I made that decision, man, when I left my country, obviously it was not easy, you know, but I never gonna forget one time. I always said this, man, like after the first year, 2 years being here in the States is and I became illegal at some point, you know, but even in the middle of those fucking hard times, man, I came to realize, you know what? I'd rather be here suffering with this shit than being back in that place where I was being suppressed, you know, from being the man that I wanted to be. So I'd rather deal with this bullshit right now instead of dealing with the crap that I was dealing before, you know. And that's the thing, man. Like you're right. Like we are that drop in the big ocean, you know. And the question is like how willing you are to pay the price to create, you know, to create out of you what God put in you and start actually doing your stuff. You're like working on your purpose, you know, because that's the thing. It's gonna come with a high price, you know. For me, came with a price where I needed to leave everything I knew, everybody I knew, an entire life behind, you know, take the risk to even being a fucking illegal immigrant at some point, and that was a price that I needed to pay, man. You know, in order for me to.
And I don't think that ever stops.
It doesn't.
We just had a podcast about that. I mean, there's levels of life that we go through where you got to leave other people behind. You got to leave fucking people behind all the time. If you're growing, if you're constantly growing, you know, especially when they change, when they become that individual, when you're, you know, your biggest hater is not somebody who you don't know, man. You know what I mean? Your biggest hater is always going to end up in your circle. And I've learned this the hard way throughout the years, man. People who once was champion things that I did and we were doing things together, when they seen me exceed what they were doing, instead of going, man, I'm going to help him up. I'm going to push him higher. You know, I'm going to support him. And then he's going to help me up. You know what I mean? And he's going to push me higher. Nah, they decide to say, man, you're changing, bro. Like, you know, I kind of like the old you, right? Right, the old you, man. I'm like, motherfucker, the old me is like every week. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not even the same person next week that I am this week, man. Like, because that's how fucking rapid I've learned to adapt to growth.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's conversations like I can think of 2 years, or just a year or two ago. There's conversations that I can't open myself up to anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we had a whole podcast about that. I was like, if anybody steps around me, they talk about other people, they gossip, they fucking, you know, that bullshit right there. I have no tolerance for it anymore.
Yeah.
I let them motherfuckers go as quick as I possibly can. As soon as I find that shit, I'm gone. You know, it's gone, you know, because I don't want to enter that conversation with anybody.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think everybody has to do it if you're growing in life, you know. And it's funny that you mentioned that about the levels, you know, because, I mean, there's always a new level. It's funny, you know, because last year was my 7th anniversary. You know, I moved here, right? That was December 2nd. And immediately one of the things that I started thinking about is 7, right? Is in the Bible is a number of completion, right? And it's funny, you know, because I felt like I have this revelation immediately. I felt like the past 7 years were preparing me for something, you know, like during the past 7 years, I got rid of insecurities that I had, you know, got rid of like, fear of other people's opinions. I got rid of a bunch of other stuff, like expressing myself in the way I am and just being myself. I still have some shit that I deal with. I'm not perfect. I still have some demons to fight every fucking day, right? I'm not the perfect human being. I'm not the best man in the world either. But most of the major thing that was affecting my life from being who I am and developing myself, I felt like last year, man, it was the end of everything. And then eventually this year, everything is just going, like you were mentioned at the beginning. I'm doing real estate, and now I have an online store, and I'm helping, trying to start a movement to help men and the marketing company and all that kind of stuff. And it's just incredible how everything started aligning. I'm being invited to talk to podcasts like this. I'm being featured in fucking blogs and all that kind of stuff. Something that I never thought that it will happen in my life. I never thought that I would be in a room with fucking billionaires, So it's just amazing what started to happen in 2021 in my life, man.
That's dope, man. How old are you?
I'm 33. I know I don't look like. I don't look like.
Well, you are at that year, man. So I don't know if you know this, but that's the year that they even say that Jesus Christ came into existence. And they say that this is the time, like around 32, 33 years old, where you'll really end up building your empire, man.
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt too, for some reason. And I never heard that before, but I thought about it, about the 33.
Yeah, there's also like shit that's biblical about when you turn 40 as well. And that's something Stuman's Pastor Keith was recently talking to. He was telling this to Thomas Keenan, and then Thomas told me about it, right?
Right.
So this is through 3 channels, right? So I talk to Thomas all the time. He told me that the year 40 also means that you are stepping into like an abundance, like accumulation, right? So between like 32 to 40, you're building an empire. And then when you hit 40, you step into this mass accumulation and mass like abundance phase of life.
Wow.
Kind of like how Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. And what was it? Was it Moses that walked through for like 40 years or something
40
like
years,
that?
Yeah.
Man? So there's all these biblical meanings behind that year 40. It's almost like when you finally see the promised land, right? You grind hard. But I honestly believe a lot of that shit starts. It started for me, no doubt, when I was 32. It's where it really, really amped up. I was a business owner before that. But when I was 32, that's when I launched, Dent Trainer. And that's when I launched, all the tool lines. And that's when I launched, multiple podcasts and that kind of stuff.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy because the timing is just perfect,
It is.
It's perfect. It is. It just gives me goosebumps just to think about it, man.
Well, right on, big dog. Well, hey, man, we're about 42 minutes into this, so we better wrap this one up. I'd love to definitely have you on again, man. I think we just tapped into a little bit about what me and you could continue to talk about, my man. And I definitely want to get you back on sometime and talk a little bit deeper about your story.
Let's do it, man. Anytime.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. So, but for now, why don't you let the audience know exactly, how they can get in touch with you, if you can give them some of your .coms or your podcast, and so that way they know how to get a hold of you.
Well, the easiest way, man, just go to Pedro Meneses. Meneses is MENESES.online, and you find every single link to the marketing company, to the Way of the Modern Beast, to the real estate, to my Facebook group for men, all my social media. You can go there and also schedule a call with me if you want to get me into a call or whatever other thing that you need. You find everything in there, man. So that's the easiest way. PedroMeneses.online. That's where you find and the best way to contact me.
Hey, I love it, brother. Love it, man. I also can't wait to move over there to your neck of the woods, man. So can actually spend a little more time with you in person, man. So
heck yeah, man. We need to go grab a beer or something.
Yeah. I have to drink a root beer though, man. I don't know if you know this. I'm a non-drinker.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But
you have to listen to the podcast. Why? Got pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I can't imagine, man.
I ended up. Let's just say black people are not the only ones that get the shit beat out of them by the police. I'm a testament to that,
Right. Oh, well, that's fine. You can grab a root beer. I can have a beer.
Yeah,
I
right
can enjoy
on,
that shit for
That's
you.
It, bro. That's it, bro. Yeah, because if I have one, man, we'll go on a fucking, it's like one of them things that'll turn like the fucking hangover, man. And I promise you, dude, by the end of our fucking binge, like me and you will both be fucking up shit creek with our old lady. I promise you that. So we'll end up in fucking Mexico or something like that. That's the fucked up.
Shit. I love it.
All right, man.
I'm actually gonna have to get you a beer then.
Hey, I appreciate it, big dog. And so thank you for coming along on the Marketing Revolution podcast. And that is my boy Pedro right here. Hook up with him. You can go to his .com. And as usual, I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.